According to Valentino of the Speech Processing and Auditory Processing Disorders book, 10 to 15% of school-aged children have developmental dyslexia, a disability that directly impacts their performance in the classroom by inhibiting learning in the standard methods that are usually used in classrooms today. What I want to talk about today is comprehensive listening. And today I'm going to talk about what it is and why it's important. I'm going to talk about tips that people can use to help improve their listening in a classroom setting, and then offer solutions to help maximize a student's potential in the classroom. The objective of comprehensive listening is when a student is able to recognize and retain the information that they just heard. So obviously in a school setting this is very important, as 80% of in-class activity deals with a student listening to a lecture in an attempt to obtain what they just heard. So there are various strategies a student can use to help retain information a little bit better. One of the best ways is by taking notes. This is because notes provide an external storage mechanism for students to use if they want to go back and look at what they just learned. The also good part about notes is that when you're taking them, it requires the student to actually listen to the lecture, comprehend what they're saying, and encode it into a form that they can write down and use to remember in a later time. Although notes are an excellent way for a student to help retain information, they can be very tricky in most cases. Many students are set on writing exactly what the professor says down on the paper or computer that they're using to take notes on, but in reality this is actually not a good way to do it. The best part is to take the most crucial information and use that when writing your notes to make sure that you get the best and most relevant information down at one time. To retain information is called clarifying and confirming. This is when a student would ask the lecturer to clarify what they just said and to maybe even ask for further information or an explanation on what the teacher just said. This helps the student gain a better understanding and positively reinforces what the teacher said as well to the student, which can help greatly impact how they learn or retain the information. Skill of critical thinking. Now, according to Mike Kallick, author of the scholarly book Think Smarter, critical thinking is when a person is manually processing information, not automatically, and is also working to decode the information at that time to gain a complete understanding of what is being discussed. This is obviously very important in school because students need to be able to gather knowledge as quickly as possible and be able to eventually apply what they have learned in a future situation. So to tie up the information that I just talked about, I will offer solutions. The first solution is that students must practice taking notes as much as possible because this is still one of the most effective ways to look at information that was taught previously and to reinforce key concepts that a student will need to know for, say, a test or an exam coming up. The other solution I want to talk about is if the student uses the clarifying and confirming method. This is definitely a very effective tool for a student to use and very easy as well. By simply asking a question, a student can help positively reinforce what the teacher just said, and the teacher might offer another viewpoint or perspective to the student to also help the student understand what he talked about. Overall, comprehensive listening is a very important thing that students need to realize in school and need to realize the best ways to help reinforce material that a lecturer has just talked about, because in the end, this will be the most effective way to do well and succeed in school.